With some of the technicalities taken care of, let's take a look at the music definitions. Your first definition is of the word music. The definition is sound or sounds that are organized or arranged in a non-verbal manner for aesthetic purposes. There are 4 elements to this definition: sound, organized, arranged, non-verbal, and aesthetic. Sound basically means what you hear. Organized and arranged means that it should be done by the hand of man. Non-verbal means that we're talking primarily about the purely musical parts of a song. A song is normally a multi-artistic expression, combining elements of music itself with elements of literature. We are not talking about the meaning of the lyrics, but the melody usually represented behind the lyrics. Finally, the word aesthetic, sort of an $8,000 word, is a philosophical principle having to do with art and beauty and how those two interrelate to one another. The basic musical elements: pitch is the first one, the relative highness or lowness of musical sounds or tones. If you can go to a keyboard, a piano, or any other type of instrument, you can find that there is a pitch that will be relatively higher. There will be pitches that are relatively lower, and there will be pitches outside and inside of those pitches. Rhythm is defined as action in time. It's a very general definition, so we usually use 4 sub-elements to help define the word rhythm. First is the beat, which is defined as the regular pulsation in much music. Whenever we hear pulsations in music, most of the time when we're listening to pop music, that beat is metered. Meter is the grouping of beats into units, which we will call measures or bars. Typically, we will not use the word measure. That's usually reserved for music that is written down. Bars are the music that we hear when we're listening to music. Typically, those groupings of beats are relatively simple, in groups of 3, 4, possibly 2. Tempo is the speed of the beat, or how fast the music is moving. And feel is the stylistic interpretation of rhythm, such as when a concert or rock and roll musician plays the same type of music that a jazz musician might play, but the jazz musician has the word swing written over the music that he is playing and will interpret it differently, even though it looks exactly the same as the other music. Melody. The definition of melody is rhythm and pitch unified into a series of pitches. This indicates that you might be able to divide rhythm and pitch apart. When you hear a melody, you hear both its rhythmic identity and its pitch identity. Harmony, or harmonic background, is defined by its 2 sub-elements. First, the chord, C-H-O-R-D, which is 3 or more pitches sounded simultaneously. The chords can be arranged into a series of chords, which is then called the progression, such as in chord progression or harmonic progression. The chord itself, the 3 or more pitches sounded simultaneously, can be very simple or it can be very complex. The progression can be of very few chords or many chords. Typically in pop music, since it is a music that's intended for mass audiences, for Joe Q public out there, it is intended to be fairly simple. So we will hear primarily simple chords and very few chords in the progression. Form, the next element of music, is defined as the structure of music through time. When we hear sections repeated, when we hear 2 sections alternated between one another in the music, that indicates form. We will further develop this when we get to the critique sheet. Dynamics is the relative loudness or softness of the music. This is basically the volume of the music, how it becomes loud or becomes soft, and how loud or how soft it is. Timbre, or timbre, T-Y-M-B-R-E, or T-I-M-B-R-E, is the tone quality or the difference between instrument sounds. Typically, this can happen when you are singing a pitch or you play the pitch on another instrument. They are the same pitches, but the relative tone quality is very different.